Hello, good morning, afternoon, even. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. I can see quite a few of you jumping on now. So, hello. Good to see so many of you. Dave, hello. Kevin, Steve, Martin, Mark, Bjorn. Loads of you joining us. We'll give it a couple of minutes just for the rest of the people to join. So we'll kick off probably in a couple of minutes. And then we will run through the Hands HQ system today. So hopefully you all know what you're here for today. You're all here to look at the Hands HQ risk assessment and method statement software. So between myself and Rob, who's our safety expert on today's call, we are going to run you through what the process looks like, how it works, and any questions that you might have as well. Um, as a sort of bit of I guess sort of homework and to housekeeping even. Up at the top of your sort of bottom of the screen, you'll see that there's a Q&A or chat. Any questions that you do have as we go through them, feel free to fire those in there. Between Rob and I will answer those questions. Session's probably going to be about 20 minutes long, but then there'll be more than enough time for questions at the end as well. What would be really useful as well, if possible, to hear from you all in the chat. Let us know. I'm getting a lot of echo. Give me a second, Steve. I'll see if I can change my headphones, see if it's any better. Rob, can you hear me okay? Is that okay? Yeah, all good. Um, Hopefully that's a little bit better, Steve. I've been given the all clear from technical bits on my side. Hopefully that's a little bit better. But anyway, so yeah, what we're going to be looking at is there's obviously the Hands HQ RAM system. In the chat, let us know how are you creating, how are you producing, managing your risk assessments and method statements at the minute. I know we might have a couple of customers on here that are sort of using this as a training session, which is great. But if you're not, and if this is the first time you're seeing the system, then yeah, let us know in the chat. How are you writing RAMs, and what are your biggest frustrations with your manual process that you have at the minute? Is it time, consistency, quality? Yeah, let us know in the chat. How are you writing RAMs, and what are your biggest frustrations? We'll give it one more minute just to allow for a few more people to join. I've just seen a few more jumped in, so thank you for joining. And yeah, let us know in the chat. Any questions that you have as well, feel free to fire those in. Otherwise, I think now would be a good time just to jump into the system. As mentioned, any questions that you do have or any additional context that you want to add into the chat to help me guide you around certain features or issues that you have with your current rounds process that we can sort of focus on here, then you let me know and I can make sure that we show you the right features today as well. Hopefully everyone can still see my screen moving up and down here. So this is the Hands HQ, HSI HandsHQ risk assessment and method statement software that we're looking at. So when you log into the Hands HQ system, the first page that you'll come to is your dashboard. The dashboard is just giving you an overview of all of your RAMs that you've created. So how many RAMs are currently live or how many jobs are live, which RAMs have been signed by the engineers or the individuals that are doing the work, which ones have been approved internally and maybe which ones are still waiting or certain ones that have been rejected. But then also you've got the ability to see your top risk. So what risk assessments have been selected the most. For a lot of our customers, this gives the health and safety team the ability to say, okay, arrival and departure from site is our number one risk at every single one of our sites, or it's been selected the most. So what does that mean for us as a team? Do we need to invest in certain PPE or etc. just to ensure that we keep the team safe? So it would give you that insight that Word documents, I assume, wouldn't give you that information. Up at the top left here, there is the ability to create different divisions. Now, the reason why this is really useful is that each division then has got the ability to have their own certain area. Works in a few different ways for our customers. It could be that within the business, you might have some different teams that do different types of work, so a different business unit, they've got a different discipline. As a result, that business unit can have their own division that do their own work with their own content. Equally, we work with a lot of consultants where their contractors or their clients might have access to
a division which is specific to them, so they can create RAMs and then submit them internally to the main contractor, or it could be to the consultant. So that gives you that ability to sort of split the system up in that way as well. But when we're in a division, it's really straightforward. Your dashboard that you see, every line item is essentially a different RAMs that you have created for a different job, task, whatever it might be. So you can see the name of the RAMs, what folder it belongs to. So you see here that you've got the foldering system. So you've got the ability to create a RAMs and associate it to a specific folder, job reference number, when that document was last updated. You can create review dates, and also has that RAMs been approved? Is it still pending or not yet to be submitted to the internal approver? And also has that document, that RAMs been signed off by the individuals it needs to be signed off by, yeah or not? So let's actually go ahead and jump into the actual important part, which is how do we create a site-specific risk assessment and meta statement? So it's a really easy, straightforward four-step process. The first step is the details about the job, about the project itself. Let's just call this today webinar project RAMS. We can decide what folder it belongs to. So we could say, oh, this is part of our London site. We can add a job reference number, start and end date to the project. Also, who the client is. Let's say the client is us for today. And then also locations of work, and also your postcode. So this is really cool. What it will actually do is it use the postcode and generate a map to the nearest A&E for you in here as well. You'll see here that we do have certain integrations across the system as well. So sort of like actual partnerships and native integrations that we have, the likes of Procore, if you use Procore, also SimPro as well. Then we do also have an open API, which gives us that flexibility to integrate with lots of other systems like Salesforce, SharePoint, and other sort of external systems that you might have to be able to push certain RAMS documents into certain project folders as well. So first step, really straightforward, literally just filling in the blanks. The next step is where we come through to your risk assessment library. I've just seen a message from Steve. Can I set it such that any members of staff can create a new RAMS, or is it restricted into some way, certain roles only? We do have different levels of restrictions that you can give to different team members that would be allowed to do certain different actions. Majority of our customers won't give access as a user to all of your staff. It would just be those individuals that need to produce RAMS essentially. But there's a few different, well, I say a fair few different restriction levels that we can give different users within the system as well. So the second step is where we come through to our risk assessment library. This is the standard HandsHQ library. We do run a formal onboarding process as well for certain packages, where we would essentially take any of your existing risk assessments that you have. So if you've got a generic library, we can take all of that information and we can put it into your account for you on the system. So where we're looking at all of these sort of like standard categories and information, we can effectively create a bespoke setup for you. This is very much so a construction-based setup. As an example, we've got lots of customers within the events world. As a result, they've got an events-based library, which we've used their existing risk assessment content to build out that for them. All we're asking from your team at this point is to go through the library and select hazards or tasks that are applicable to the job. So as an example, we can say, right, arrival and departure from site is one of our first tasks or hazards that we've identified. You'll select this and then go into edit. You'll then see all of the associated risk assessments for arrival and departure from site. From here, you can deselect any hazards that maybe aren't applicable. You've then got the ability to click edit, and then you can make this risk assessment site specific. So you can edit some of the information from the task and the hazard. You've got your 5x5 risk matrix, control measures, and then your residual risk as well. There is also the ability to be able to upload an image or a PDF within here as well. So if you wanted to make this a little bit more pictorial, make sure that you've got the right information in here, then you can add those images in here. It's worth noting that when you do make any site-specific changes to the content, you're only doing it for this RAMS. You're not changing that master set list of content that's in the background. You're just doing it purely for that RAMS document. So it's not like you make a change and for the next one you've got to delete it and start again. It would just always, when you create a brand new RAMS, it will always reset itself to the standard info that you're selecting from to then make it site-specific on top of that. As we scroll through, you'll then see all of the different categories here. It's really straightforward. It's a case of scrolling through the category and saying, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to be doing some working at height, and then we'll be also working on some flat roofs. As we scroll down, then we can say, yeah, and we'll also be doing some electrical work and, installing some new lighting. So as mentioned, it's about building that risk profile, selecting certain hazards or tasks to build up and pull through the risk assessments that are applicable to that specific job or project. Rob.
Thanks, Mason. And just to sort of emphasize the point, I hope I'm not laboring it too much, but what we're really passionate about is when the system is being onboarded by a customer, of course, they'll only see the content that is applicable for them. So the list might seem quite vast now, and maybe some categories of works aren't applicable for your good selves. Have no fear. Part of that onboarding journey is to make sure that your levels of staff only have access to the relevant material, so to help them speed through that writing of the RAMS process.
Thanks, Rob. Perfect. So once we've selected all the risk assessments, we then move through to the next step, which is where we come into our sequence of operations. So based on what we have selected from the previous step, we'll determine what gets pulled through here. So essentially, systems understanding what we've selected, and it will pull through the standard operating procedures for certain tasks. So because we selected electrical, it's pulled through a bunch of different electrical tasks. We can select a specific task, and then you've got the drop down, which gives you that step-by-step process as to how to complete that task in the safest possible way. You can deselect certain steps that maybe aren't applicable. You can drag the ordering around, and you can also make it, once again, site-specific by adding any of your own information in here as well. Once again, you can add images here too. So you can make a more pictorial sort of process through here as well. Just a few questions here. Thanks for answering those, Rob. I can see one here from, Andrew, MOD Systems. Yeah, we work with lots of businesses, lots of customers, some very high security protocols from an IT perspective. We usually pass those with flying colours, so hopefully that shouldn't be an issue. Martin, I assume the library would be fully editable to create our own master topics and controls in the future. Yeah, absolutely. So once we've done that initial upload and that initial onboarding process, there's a feature either called content editing or the more premium version, which is called risk register, where you can create your own categories, create updates. All of those updates are tracked as well. So you've got a full activity log to show why risk assessments have changed or categories updated, etc. Date and timestamps for all of those as well. And you can set review dates.
And just to extend upon that, Mason, typically we see about 50% of our customers writing an entire database using their existing way of work. The other 50% will use some of their content and will actually share some of our existing content as well. So we've seen like a hybrid library setup. Part and parcel of my team as well is to make sure the content remains relevant. So if you are going to use any HandsHQ RAMS content, we will typically review twice a year when we know legislation would generally change in April and October. My team will go in to make sure that any changes then are made for your good selves. Of course, if it is your own content, we can give you the prompt to do a review, but it's your intellectual property. It will be your good selves to then do the reviews for your own said content.
Perfect. Thanks, Rob. Bro, so to recap, first step, we've added in our project details where we're going to be working, dates, client details, etc. Second step, we've selected our risk assessments. Third step, we've selected the task that we're doing to build out the sort of methodologies. And the final step, fourth step, is where we're on to the main bulk of the method statement itself. So certain information that you want to input, like maybe like a description of the activity, what training the team require, is there any legislation associated to it, tools and equipment, method of access. So all of that information that builds up this sort of method statement. Once again, you might be looking at this and going, none of this is relevant to us. We've got our own method statement. We can replicate that and replicate the content and pull it into here for you as well. All of this, once again, has been pre-populated based on our earlier selections. As an example, if you select working at height, then a working at height section might be pulled through for specific legislation or some images that you want to have uploaded associated to those categories. All of it, once again, site-specific, so you can add any information that you require to make it specific to the job. Equally, you can remove anything maybe that isn't applicable. You've got images here, PDF documents as well. Andrew, can you put videos onto any risk assessments? Unfortunately not, can't do videos, annoyingly. Yeah, images you can upload. Rob, I think there might be a few ways that our customers have managed that at all.
Yeah, there's one recent workaround we saw, Mason. If that video can be sort of populated into like a QR code, we can host QR codes under our add image feature that Mason's sharing on the screen now. So if that's a function you have, we can ingest videos, but as I say, it's via a third-party link as opposed to actually within the application itself, just due to the file size and handling on the servers.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, easy workaround there. Just take a screenshot of that QR code and then just drag and drop it in as an image. Awesome. And then as we scroll down to the bottom of the method statement itself, you then come to your hazard substances. So there is the ability to do cost assessments, which I'll show you in a bit. And then finally, you've got your PPE requirements. So you can select PPE that might be applicable to the task and to the job as well. So once you've done that, you can hit next. And that's us done. There is the ability now to be able to schedule a review date if you wanted to. So you could say, this could be typically how our customers use it. It might be some like internal RAMs that they've created within their warehouse, for example. They're only going to create them once and then might review them on an annual 6 monthly basis. It could be that you're on a site where the client says, we expect you, this is a long-term project, we expect you to review it every 3 months. So you could do it that. It could be that you're going to be in and out within a couple of days, and as a result, you don't need to create a review date, in which case you just wouldn't schedule one. We can finish, and then that is us done. So we produced our site-specific RAMs via that 4-step process. There's a few bits that I'll need to show you first before we actually get onto the final document itself. First things first, all of the RAMs that you create in HandsHQ, what we refer to as a live document. What we mean by that is all of the RAMs can be updated and changed at any point that you need them to be. So let's say you turn up to site, the client asks you for certain information that's not within the document. You can come in here, click add, edit. We can go, right, yeah, we want to add working in confined spaces, click save and exit. It will ask you for reasons as to why you've edited. So we could say updated RAMs due to XYZ. And when we click finish, all of those changes and updates that we've made are then all going to be logged in the activity tab, which is then really useful from a compliance point of view. All changes are all going to be tracked, and you can see exactly how and why this RAMs is updated, why it's changed. Touch wood, it doesn't happen, but in the event of an incident, one, you can easily go back and find that RAMs really quickly. But then two, you've got that full activity log audit trail through there as well. Cool. So then we come on to next tab along, which is our COSH. Some of you might already have your own COSH assessment software. If you've got some really dirty, dangerous products that you're using, then I would say, it's probably better to remain with that, something that's very specific to COSH. If you're just using sort of standard substances on paint, on site, a bit of WD-40, some paint, oil, some petrol maybe, etc., and all the other mastics, that sort of stuff that you might have, then this is great, and it's going to save you a huge amount of time. Literally, all you've got to do is add a COSH. You've then got a library of substances. All you've got to do is search for that substance that you're going to be using, find the right one, add COSH. It's going to ask you a couple of questions. So how much you're going to use in a day, who's at risk. You're basically just going through and answering the questions. If something, Andrew, I've just seen your message. So we're HandsHQ. I can contact you after and give you some details about some of the companies that we're working with that I can mention as well. But I'll call you after. Happy to give you those details. So the COSH assessment section, you just fill out these details, add your COSH. That's going to pull then all of the information that is applicable to that specific substance from the safety data sheet. any information that you've input, and it will create that site-specific posh assessment at that point as well. If you feel like any substances that you're using are missing, then all you've got to do is send us a safety data sheet, and we'll extract the information from that data sheet and upload it all into the system for you. So your substances are on the system, and we make sure that we don't miss out on any as well. Awesome. Once again, activity log is starting to build up, starting to see all of the info that we mentioned change as well. Cool. So RAMS have been produced, it's been created. The natural next step of the process is now to submit for approval. So what this is like an internal approval process. So the RAMS is created, a user that is within the system would then receive an email. So myself, for example, I'd receive an email that says, Joe Blogs has created webinar project RAMS. Could you please read and review? I can then receive an email. I'll click the link and then I can approve the document. So we'll get to the final document in a moment, Martin, sorry, and we'll show the cost as well. But essentially the approval process, I'm the health and safety manager. I can preview the document. If I'm happy with that, I can say, yes, best RAMS ever, hopefully, approve that document. That's then me giving a thumbs up to say, yes, this is suitable, sufficient for site. It's now ready to be sent out to the client and to the engineers as well to get them to sign off on that document. So brings us nicely onto the next step. The RAMS has been created, it's been approved. How do we actually distribute this document out to those individuals that are doing the job on site? Now, I appreciate there's a huge amount of different ways that businesses do this at the moment. It could be the old-fashioned way, which is print it off and get everyone into the office to sign the document, or print it off and get someone to drive out to site to get all the signatures and then bring it back into the office, which is just going to take a huge amount of time. With this, literally all you've got to do is add the name of the individual that is going to be working on that job, who the RAMS has been created for, and then we can get signatures. So you can add as many people as you want on here. They could be internal, they could be external. You don't have to have a user license to be able to receive a copy of this RAMS. What would happen? That RAMS would be sent out. They can then open that RAMS up via their emails, just on their phone, and it would look like this. So this is the final RAMS document that we've created. You have your own logo, your own business details. The document will start with the details about the job, where you're working, map to nearest A&E, and it will pull through all of your important information from the method statement. So legislation, working at height information, method of access, and so on. Any images, PDF documents would obviously be formatted in here as well. One thing that I like to say to all of our customers is you'll never have to worry about or spend time formatting a document ever again. You focus on the important part, which is the site-specific content, and the system will do all of the heavy lifting for you in terms of the formatting. As we come off the back of the method statement, we come to the risk assessment. The 5x5 grid gets explained for us, and then the risk assessment's just laid out in a really straightforward way to read and understand exactly what's meant by them. Obviously, any images that you were to upload will then just be associated and uploaded below the actual risk assessment themselves. They're all together. And then finally, off the back of here, we come to the signature page. So in a minute, when I sign this, then my signature will be there. And Martin, to answer your question, cost assessment, this is the information that I've input about the overview of how we're going to be using the product. And then this is all the information that gets pulled from the safety data sheet as well. First aid and exposure limits and etc. So literally taking us a few seconds to create this. So in this example, me being a contract manager, I've received the RAMS, and now it's for me to say whether I'm happy to essentially start the job and get to work. So what I can actually do is I've got the ability to click accept. What that would do is it would actually take an image of the individual that's signing that document, and then they can just do their scribble, sign the RAMS, and then we can now see that that RAMS has been signed by all of the individuals. Appreciate we've only got one at the minute, but all of the individuals that go into that job, we've got the signature and we've got the image as well. So the image, you don't have to have the image on, you can just have it for digital signatures, but it's just that ability to be able to, be able to get those images, signatures, and date and timestamps in there as well. Any questions, then feel free to fire those in. that's a very sort of quick overview. There's a couple of other sort of elements just to sort of mention now. There is the ability to download this document as a hard copy PDF, so you can print off if you wanted to, or drag and drop to an email. You do have the ability to email this directly from HandsHQ to external individuals. So you can just add the name of the individual email of your client, and then you've got your body of email that you can then send a copy of this RAMS out to them as well. Benefit of that, once again, is it's all tracked in the system as well. So in this activity log, you can see when it's been delivered, when it's been read, etc. A couple of other sort of points to mention here too. We do have another product, which is our training register system, which is essentially a replacement for big Excel spreadsheets for tracking and managing training, so your training matrix. What the HandsHQ system actually does is when you produce a RAMS and you say who's going to that job, it will then pull through to say whether their training is up to date for the job or not. Then what's really, really useful about it, when you send out a copy of the RAMS to your clients, you can also send out a training report. And what that's going to do is every single person that you've got going to that specific job associated to that RAMS, it will send out this PDF document with all training, start dates, expiry dates, and then also all of their certification on there as well. So it's just a really useful way to be able to pull that information together, have everything all in one place, rather than, get into site and then they're saying, actually, you can't start working until we can confirm everyone's got the right training. This can all be sent over as part of the as part of the RAMS submission as well. Just to give you a sort of sneak preview of that, this is what that looks like. Hold certificates, automatic notifications. There's a message in the chat now. On Thursday, I'm going to be doing a webinar for this side of the system, this product as well. So if anyone would like to join, then please do. I'll be running through the standard system and then also some of our e-learning add-ons that you can get as well. So hot access to an entire e-learning library as well. Few last bits on the RAM side. Another tool that I mentioned, probably don't have enough time to go into it now, but if you'd like sort of more sessions on this, then we can do the risk register. So this is about setting review dates for individual risk assessments and maintaining that brain behind the system, so all of your risk assessment content. As Rob mentioned, we've got a full onboarding process that we manage when we upload your risk assessments. That includes, obviously, that initial support from our team to help you get the system up and running. We do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, so all of that upload. Everyone would then receive full training on the system as well as to how to use it, best practice throughout the system. We do also have different service packages too for additional support. A couple of bits just to mention as well, just whilst we're running out of time. Any questions, feel free to fire those in the chat as well, by the way. But we've got our roadmap here at the moment too. So you can see everything that we've got coming pretty soon to the system. We're continuing to, so anyone that uses Simpro at the moment, we do have an integration already released, but we're just always improving it. So there's a few updates coming to that soon. Also, division-specific dashboard as well. So that dashboard that we showed at the beginning, that's at the moment is built so it shows everything that's been created. Whereas for a lot of our customers where they've got multiple divisions, could be different sites, different locations, different contractors. If that's the case, then very soon you'll be able to have a dashboard or filter which will be specific to each division as well. And then also the ability for view-only access to RAMS. So all of your team being able to have a login, but all they'll be able to do is view RAMS rather than be able to edit them, create them, or update them at all. Yeah, any questions, feel free to let me know. I appreciate some of you will have questions about how much does it cost, which is always the million-dollar question. What we'll do is either myself or one of the team will reach out to everyone following this call to answer any questions that you might have. If you want to be one of those first people that gets a call, or if you would like a call to discuss any questions, also around a bit of an idea in the chat, if you could just say, yes, please. You don't have to be that polite. Just say, call me. And then I will, either myself or one of the team will pop you a call and we'll be able to answer any more questions that you might have. So yeah, just let us know in the chat and we'll make sure that we pop you to the top of the list and get through to you sooner rather than later. If you just let us know in the chat, just say, call me, and we'll make sure that we get through to you pretty soon. Rob, was there anything that I've missed? Anything that you wanted to mention at all?
Thanks, Mason. I mean, certainly the system doesn't cost $1 million, so that's always good. I think the only question I tend to have when I'm having onboarding conversations is what support am I likely to receive as a new Hands HQ customer? I might be someone that's just digitizing this workflow the first time in the business, so I want that comfort and confidence that I'm going to be supported through this journey.
Yeah, great. Great question. So, obviously, you'll get a dedicated implementation manager, someone that will work with you to get the system set up with your content, make sure that it works for you based on the content that you need, and then full training as well. And we've got different packages for different levels of service that will give you access to more time, more training sessions throughout the year as well. So really, really important for us, that engagement piece, and that starts from the very beginning, from the setup to the training as well, which is really important. Martin, I can see your question. Yes, you'd like costs for the training package. Could you just let me know, if possible, in the chat now, Martin, just before I call you after this, how many people you would track training for? That would be useful. And I can give you a breakdown of all of the costs. The other thing I wanted to mention as well, so Hands HQ, we're part of a company called HSI. The really great thing about that is that we have got access to lots of other tools. There's a system called DoneSafe. DoneSafe is a modular EHS platform. Lots of different modules of everything and anything that you can possibly imagine under the sort of health and safety umbrella, from audits, incident investigations, contractor management, and so on. We have all of those modules and products as well. I believe there is going to be another webinar tomorrow that's going to be sort of dipping the toe into some of those modules too. If you'd like to see that, then just let us know in the chat, and I can make sure that we get the link sent out for you. I don't know if I've got it to hand at the minute. There you go. Thanks, Rob. But yeah, we're going to be running that webinar tomorrow. So if you wanted to sign up and see more of our modules, so outside of the Hands HQ, so outside of the RAMS and the training register, then please do. And lots of other exciting modules and products that we have access to here at HSI. Real well, thanks very much, everyone. Really appreciate you all joining today. Any questions, and let us know. Well, as mentioned, we'll do the rounds and sort of give everyone a call over the next few days. And then we will be able to sort of take it from there and answer any questions that anyone has, and go from there. But really appreciate your time today.
Brilliant. Absolute pleasure, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Rob. See you later, everyone. Bye bye.
Cheers, everyone.